A helicopter rises above the exhibition ground in Tianjin. Its cabin and doors belong to a medium utility aircraft, but the short wings projecting from both sides tell a different story. This is the Z-20T, a Chinese assault variant built from the Z-20 family. It is not shaped like a dedicated attack helicopter, and it has not abandoned the transport role of its parent design. The question is, how can engineers add an external mission system, new loads, and new aerodynamic penalties without turning a useful transport helicopter into an unbalanced compromise? The answer is hidden in three places. First, in the basic airframe that must carry people before it carries external equipment. Second, in the five-bladed rotor and transmission system that must absorb every change in weight and drag. And third, in the short stub wings that look simple from a distance, but force the structure, wiring and flight controls to work as one new configuration. The Z-20T entered broad public view during China's military parade in September 2025, and then flew at the China Helicopter Exposition in Tianjin in October. Chinese reporting described it as a variant able to combine troop deployment and cargo transport with externally carried mission equipment. Its public appearance therefore revealed more than a new set of pylons. It showed the latest branch of a helicopter family designed to support different roles from a common platform. Chapter 1. Between two roles. A dedicated attack helicopter is usually built around a narrow fuselage, a tandem cockpit, and a mission focused mainly on sensors and weapons. The Z-20T follows another path. Its cockpit remains side by side. Behind it is a broad cabin with sliding doors and internal space intended for personnel or cargo. Its landing gear, tail boom, and overall proportions still identify it as a utility helicopter. That creates the central contradiction. External stores can expand what the aircraft can carry outside the cabin, but they also add drag, weight, and bending loads. The wings must sit close enough to the fuselage to keep the aircraft compact, yet far enough away to provide clearance. They must not obstruct the side doors, interfere with the landing gear, or move equipment into the rotor's dangerous working area. Before any external system can be added, the utility core has to be built accurately enough to accept those changes. Chapter 2. Building the utility core. The exact Z-20T factory sequence has not been publicly released, so the earliest production stages must be reconstructed cautiously from the completed aircraft and established helicopter engineering practice. The process begins with structural sections, rather than a recognizable finished helicopter. Cockpit framing, cabin floor, bulkheads, rear fuselage sections, and the long tail boom. These pieces define the geometry of everything that follows. If the cabin structure is misaligned, the doors may not travel correctly. If the tail boom is slightly out of position, the tail rotor will not hold the intended relationship with the main rotor and transmission. If the upper fuselage structure is inaccurate, the engines, gearbox, and rotor mast cannot share the same centerline. As the cockpit, cabin, and tail are joined, the shape becomes recognizable. But at this stage, it is still only a platform. It has no complete powertrain, no five-bladed rotor, and no assault wings. The next challenge is to make that structure respond as one aircraft. Chapter 3. Turning power into lift. The Z-20 family is publicly associated with fly-by-wire controls and a five-bladed main rotor. Those two features are central to the aircraft's identity. The rotor distinguishes it visually from the four-bladed Black Hawk family that the Z-20 is often compared with. Meanwhile, the electronic flight control architecture helps coordinate pilot commands with the helicopter's moving systems. Above the cabin, twin engines feed power into the main transmission. The gearbox must combine that power and send it upward to the rotor mast, while another drive path continues toward the tail rotor. Every mounting point must preserve alignment under vibration and changing loads. The rotor hub then distributes force into 5 long blades, each of which must remain within strict limits of balance, pitch, and tracking. This is where small errors become visible. A blade that does not follow the correct path can create vibration. A misaligned drive component can produce heat or wear. A loose interface can transmit movement into sensors, electronics, and the cabin below. Inspection therefore shifts from simple assembly to measurement. Fastener checks. Blade root inspection, drivetrain alignment, and controlled mechanical movement before a full engine run. Once the engines, transmission, rotor mast, and tail drive are installed, the unfinished helicopter can finally produce lift. But the Z-20T is still incomplete. The next stage changes not only what it carries, but how the airframe experiences force. Chapter 4: The Wing That Changes the Aircraft. The Z-20T's defining feature is the pair of short stub wings attached to the sides of the fuselage. Public descriptions indicate that these wings can support modular pylons and other external equipment. What has not been published is the exact internal reinforcement, attachment design, or installation sequence. Those details must remain unknown. Even so, the engineering problem is clear. A load suspended beneath a wing does not act only at the pylon. Its weight and movement pass through the wing root and into the fuselage. During forward flight, drag pulls rearward. During maneuvers, inertia changes direction. During landing, vibration and impact travel through the structure. The left and right sides must therefore be installed with consistent geometry, while the completed aircraft must remain within acceptable balance limits. In a factory reconstruction, the two assemblies would arrive on controlled supports, be aligned against fixed reference points, and be secured while technicians inspect symmetry and interface connections. This is the moment when the Z-20 family airframe becomes visibly identifiable as the Z-20T. Yet the mechanical attachment is only half the conversion. Chapter 5: Wiring the assault configuration. External equipment requires power, data, and control. Cables must pass from the aircraft's internal systems toward the wing stations, without creating vulnerable, tangled, or inaccessible routes. Cockpit controls must communicate with mission equipment while remaining separate from flight-critical functions. Sensors must be mounted where their view is useful, but their installation must also tolerate rotor vibration and airflow. Public images confirm the completed housings and external arrangement, but they do not reveal the internal architecture. The safest conclusion is that integration requires coordinated electrical, structural, and software work. A pylon is not an independent accessory. It becomes part of the aircraft only when crews can power it, monitor it, and verify that it does not interfere with other systems. Chapter 6: Finding errors before flight. By the finishing stage, the helicopter may look complete, but appearance is not proof. Fairings, panels, and the olive green exterior can hide the interfaces that still require inspection. Engineers must check wing alignment, door movement, landing gear clearance, wiring continuity, sensor installation, and the condition of the rotor system. Ground testing then adds controlled motion. Electrical systems are powered. Flight controls are moved through their permitted range. Engines and transmission systems are monitored. The rotor begins turning slowly Before advancing toward operational speed, technicians watch for unusual vibration, temperature changes, leaks, or movement at attachment points. The assault configuration introduces another question. Does the external equipment change the aircraft's balance or response? Exact Z-20T acceptance procedures have not been disclosed, so no specific test sequence should be claimed. But the general purpose is unavoidable. Engineers must detect on the ground what would become more dangerous in the air. Chapter 7. Proving the conversion. At Tianjin in October 2025, the Z-20T performed publicly in flight. Officially published images showed the completed helicopter maneuvering with its 5-bladed rotor, broad cabin, and paired stub wings all visible. The display was not public evidence of a factory acceptance test, but it did demonstrate that the configuration had progressed beyond a static prototype presentation. The most important visual is not a close-up of any single external store. It is the whole aircraft in a stable hover. Hovering leaves little room to hide imbalance. The rotor must generate lift. The tail rotor must control torque. And the flight control system must coordinate constant corrections, while the added structure remains attached to a utility airframe. That is the answer to the central manufacturing question. The Z-20T is significant because its assault equipment is integrated around a helicopter that still retains the architecture of a medium transport platform. The cabin, dynamic system, flight controls, wings, and external interfaces must be treated as one aircraft, not as separate additions. This is Modus assembly, where military machines are understood by following how they are built.